it's a gas mask that I bought a couple years back. One of my best purchases when I finally drove home with it. I was very excited. It felt like Christmas. Because I was shopping for it online. And I actually went, it's made by the 3M Corporation, so the same guys that give you Scotch tape and Scotch Brite. They also have a whole line of personal pollution protection equipment. And so this is one of it. So I gave them a call and they said, yeah, you can buy it. Pat, yeah, I'll tell you where to buy it. They have like a distributor in Shaw Boulevard. The reason why I really looked for this and just how I came to where I am right now speaking is because of love and chemical trauma. So just a quick background as to how I even got here and how I even took environmental science. In the future, I will make this evolve. You know, I have to look for, you know, I think each of us have a very unflattering photo of ourselves, right? The photo where we were like 20 pounds heavier, acne, very depressed. Yes, I have one of those. I can't find it right now, but I do have one of those. I was teased. I was called the fat boy before in grade school by our soccer club or football club. They called me the fat boy. So I had a lot of issues with my weight, and it came a point that I had to do something about it because my crush was actually crushing on this guy who was a lot leaner, he was a lot thinner. And so I was like thinking, okay, you know, if I want to get as skinny as this guy, I have to like start working out. So I got back into football, and then I discovered cycling. I used to do football in Ayala, Alabang. So if you're familiar with Ayala, Alabang, there's the country club inside. There's several football pitches. And then when we were going home one time, I saw this group of cyclists, and I was like, wow, you know, this is awesome. You know, I really want to be one of these guys. They look so cool, you know, so lean and so fit. And so there. I was training one time, and I was doing this. Well, I guess part of the equation was like I wanted to impress this girl, right? I didn't want to be the fat kid anymore, right? So there's just one time I was training inside Ayala, Alabang. I was going up one of the hard hills there along Country Club Drive, and there was construction going on at one of the big houses. And if you notice, next time you pass by a construction site, don't breathe in too deeply, because right, if you breathe in, it really gets itchy or it hurts, right? So do avoid construction sites as a whole. I really feel sorry for people who work in construction and don't have enough protection. The legal protection that they need, and so just think that your heart is really going, right, and then you have this whiff of chemicals that comes into your lungs, and it came in and it felt really painful. It felt like there were knives just like stabbing my lungs, and my good friend Dr. Kay Mori, who is an emergency medical doctor. So she's a medical doctor who specializes in emergency medicine. She finally gave a fancy term to it. It's chemical pneumonitis, right? So basically it's, you know, the inflammation of your lungs or the irritation due to chemical exposure. So steer clear of construction sites, especially if you're running, right? Or if you're doing any physical activity. So that actually built in a trauma in me. And it made me decide, oh, I should take up environmental science. So I think, one lesson that I learned, and the reason why I talk about it more now, is because I have to be more open about my traumas. You know, and to think that this kind of connects to love, right? It's like, you know, because I was in love, I had this crush on this girl, I wanted to lose weight and get fit, and because in doing that, you know, I get chemical pneumonitis, and then I get trauma because of that. So that's how it connects. Because we do a lot of interesting things for love, right? We do a lot of crazy things for love, and we end up hurting ourselves or getting traumatized whether directly or indirectly. Right? It just so happened that this one was a bit indirect. It's not as if she was the one who like released a chemical bomb and like died Misha, and so it was indirect. That's how my brain is wired. And so, as we continue, I must give a few warnings and disclaimers. So we're talking about stuff, right? Paracelsus said, he's a Greek philosopher, I believe, right? Was it medicine? Right? Sola dosis facit venenum, right? The dose makes the poison. So it's argued, this is a basic tenet in toxicology, right? It's argued that actually anything can be a poison. It's possible to drink too much water, right? It's possible to breathe too much oxygen, right? But these are huge volumes, but it is possible, right? It is possible to eat too much food, right? So anything, right? If you have a large enough dose, right, is toxic, is poisonous, is potentially harmful or fatal to you. So the dose makes the poison. So we need. So I'll also continue by saying potentially sensitive or offensive topics may be touched on. So for that, I apologize in advance. What I will say again, the dose makes the poison. So if you taste it a bit and you don't like it, you're free to, you may choose, you may or may not choose to induce vomiting. Okay? And just make sure that, try your best not to do it here. Okay? So the bathroom is, there's a corner over there. And, but basically I may be introducing some potentially controversial ideas or uncomfortable ideas. But what I can say is, stick on. Sometimes, bitter medicine is bitter at first, but it's good for you. Right? It may taste bitter, but it's actually good for you. Okay, so public service, you may want to take a picture of this particular frame. This is the contact number for the UP Poison Control Center. Again, I'd like to thank our friend, my friend, Dr. Kay Mori, for providing this information. She worked there for a while, so after she did her ER in Makati, she did a little bit of time with the Poison Control Center. And they actually said, just a little factoid, the most common case of poisonings is actually kerosene poisoning. Why kerosene poisoning? It's because in a lot of impoverished areas, right, sometimes they can't afford lights, right, electric lights, because they're disconnected from Meralco, right? They're disconnected from the power grid. So they're dependent on kerosene lights. And a lot of times, right, usually, you can imagine, right, what do they put the kerosene inside? They put it in a bottle, usually Ginebra, right? Yeah, Ginebra bottle, and it kind of looks like Ginebra. So, and especially since it's unlabeled and it's potentially in an accessible place, it's usually the children, right, who will come up and like, oh look, it's something daddy drinks or something. Let me try this. And so contributes to the highest incidences of the poisonings that they have. It's kerosene poisoning. For the numbers, you probably have to go. I haven't dived that deep into the research, but it's interesting to note that. I'll tell you more about it. With some friends with the salt plant people. They're trying to get rid of kerosene the kerosene lamps.